One of the biggest mistakes that beginners make when mixing vocals is just copying presets or just copying what they've seen someone else do without actually understanding what you're doing with the plugins. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I built this vocal chain from scratch and a real mix that I've worked on that's come out just today, 16th of May, 2026. Links in the description. Go ahead and listen to it, support the artist and all that good stuff. So let me show you what plugins I used and I'll explain to you why I've used them, why they're there, what they're doing, and how you can build your own vocal chain for your own music. Let's dive in. So I'll just play the first verse. It's got the effects and stuff on it and then we'll go through it.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soul for regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day feeling number, as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard. Feeling trapped like a bird with no cage, scared to fly. Cause I'm still traumatized, even though it's been set free. From its captivity, the enemy was me, and I did that shit willingly. Hurting me brought comfort, lying in my bed, living rent-free in my own head. Sacrificing daydreams to pay bills against my will. This is what I'm saying. Like.
So that's the vocal, that's the main vocal. What I've done is just duplicated it and I don't really have to duplicate it, but I've duplicated it anyway. I'm gonna turn off all the effects and all the plugins that are affecting the mix. So we're not using that, we're not using that, not using that. Actually, I'm gonna keep that there because there's a reason behind to use that plugin. Okay, so here's the vocal, dry.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soul for regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day feeling number.
So first of all, the recordings are quite clean. We recorded it here and yeah, we just got a nice bit of, I think I was using a preamp from UAD. Yeah, so I was using the tube preamp 610B. Nice level in the recordings. So as you can see from the waveform, there's some parts in here that look louder than others. And I'd say the first thing to do is just go through, use your gain tool, make a little notch and just pull them up or down and just get a nice consistent level so your compressor doesn't have to work too hard. The other thing is your S's. So you can see the S's, the waveforms normally really bright looking or sometimes look like American football, which would be that part here. And if your vocal is too SE, then you can just go through, cut it and then just pull it down manually.
Bitterness resides here, mixed.
You just have to be careful that you don't pull the S down too much.
Bitterness resides here.
If you pull it down too much, then it's going to sound unnatural.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with.
And then almost like it's got a lift.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with.
So we don't want that.
Bitterness resides here, mixed.
So the S's, they're not too bad. From what I'm hearing, they don't sound overbearing. But that's probably one of the best things you want to do in terms of gain staging and editing your vocals.
Bitterness resides here.
So that vocal's quite hot and I'll be using my end console.
Bitterness resides here, mixed.
To bring that down a touch. So I want to hit around 0 dB, 0 on the VU meter.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soul for regrets means it's been days since I.
So roughly around there is cool.
Bitterness resides here.
We look on our channel fader. We're peaking around -7, which is fine. Nice spot.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with. Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soul for regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like.
You can see which parts look a little bit loud. You can go in and tweak and bring it down to a nice level. I didn't do it on this mix. Don't know why. Should have. And we can just get it looking a bit more even and consistent. Bear in mind though, you don't want to take away from the actual performance, because if you start going through and trying to level certain sounds that might be shouty, you might have shouted a word or they might have shouted a word, and when you pull it down, it just sounds unnatural. So always make sure when you're gain staging and editing your vocals that you're listening to it all the way through. So the next plugin that I used on there was Clarity VX. So the reason why I've been using that.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soul for regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep.
So for me, I feel like when I've used the Clarity VX Pro, it's taken out some of the room sound and just making it just a little bit tighter. And that seemed to have worked on that. You don't necessarily have to use that, but if you're recording in a room that's not really well treated or you haven't got one of them reflection filters or you've got no treatment in your room, then you might be picking up the room sound, which it will affect the recordings. It will affect the overall mix. The next plugin I'm using, a gate. Again, that's just to tighten up the vocal a little bit.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soul for regrets means it's been days since I slept. I'm peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my...
So for me, that sounds a lot cleaner. And then I've got a de-esser on there, just doing some light de-essing.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soul for regrets means it's been days since I slept. I'm peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all...
Let's try it on sheep.
Against the wall, counting sheep. Against the wall, counting sheep.
Yeah, so that's just tacking the S down and just making it sound a bit more smooth sounding. So my next plugin is Pro Q4, and we're just doing a few cuts in the low mids, just annoying frequencies, and a few dips, higher mids, and then at 10k. I pulled down 4.9k because that was probably sounding annoying. Let me hear it.
Trying to make the
so it's got like a screechy whistle sound to it, and I just removed that only by 4 dB. These cuts here, they're only small cuts, few dB, and also I'm using the dynamic EQ, so I'm not completely removing it. It's only when that frequency starts to jump out, so these nodes are just ducking them down and taking care of them. When you're doing your vocals, when you're EQing your vocals, take a node, boost it, and just go through.
Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my...
That sounds annoying. Could have probably pulled that out as well. But the thing is, when you start to boost and go through, nearly everything's going to sound annoying. So don't get too carried away thinking that I have to take everything out because that sounds annoying. Just be, be smart about what you're doing. Listen to your vocal, listen to the recording. I've got this in solo at the moment, but you want to listen to it while the music is playing. So if you're doing cuts and boosts, you might get a bit carried away from in solo, then you take it out of solo and then you listen to it in context and it just sounds awful. So you just bear that in mind. So let's just hear what it sounds like at the moment.
Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day feeling number as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not...
So that's sounding a lot cleaner to me. I'm liking that. I've got a Decapitator on there, but I didn't use it. Yeah, I didn't use the Decapitator, but what you can do with this plugin is just add a little bit of saturation to your vocal, give it a little bit more bite, a little bit more grit, a bit more attitude. So I'll show you what this plugin can do. I'm using third-party plugins. Don't worry about that. You can use Logic Pro stock plugins that will give you just as good as a result. You get a decent result using Logic Pro stock plugins, but I just like to use these ones because I've been using them for so long. Back to it, Decapitator. I'm going to turn it on and turn it off so you can hear the difference.
Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day feeling number as I numbered the words.
So that's made it a little bit louder, which can make you think, oh, it's better because it's louder. It's also giving it, I feel like it's giving it a bit more body. But if you find that it's sounding too loud, you can always just use your mix knob, or you can use the main output of the plugin and turn that down so you're matching the levels. If I was going to use the Decapitator to add some saturation, I would have liked it to sound a bit more bright, if I'm honest. So I might have cut some of the lows.
Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day feeling number as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard. Feeling trapped like a bird with no cage, scared to fly. Cause I'm still traumatized even though it's been set free. From this captivity, the enemy was me, and I did that shit willingly. Better me brought comfort, lying in my bed, living rent-free in my own head. Sacrificing daydreams to pay bills against my will. Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber.
Actually sounds really nice. It's made it sound brighter, it's made it sound more clear, it's more intelligible. You can hear every word he's saying, which is a nice touch. Maybe I should have kept that. I'm not going to turn it on for now, but that's what you can use to get that effect. So next, I've got another de-esser, and if we pull up both of them, they should be slightly different. So we're doing the same type of threshold and range, but the frequencies are slightly different. Let's hear it.
Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day feeling number, as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard. Feeling trapped like a bird with no cage, scared to fly. Cause I'm still traumatized even though it's been set free. When it's captivity.
Yeah, so it does sound like it might be over de-essed, but I feel like the reason why I've done that is because of the processing that I've done later on in the vocal chain. So all the plugins that I'm showing you right now is just the plugins that I've used on the actual channel. Then we're going to get into a little bit more advanced later on in the video. So we've got 1176 on there, and medium to fast attack, fast release, and that's just compressing the vocal, getting it locked in and getting it sounding consistent. Turn it off and turn it on.
Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day feeling number, as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard. Feeling trapped like a bird with no cage, scared to fly. Cause I'm still traumatized even though it's been set free. When it's captivity, the enemy.
Okay, so I'm not even doing anything with that 1176. I've turned it on and I'm not doing no compression, so there's that. So the next plugin is the CL1B, Tubetech CL1B, and the reason why I'm using two compressors, or I like to use two compressors, is the first one is supposed to catch the peaks, and then the second one is just supposed to level it out. And I like the CL1B. I feel like it gives a nice smoothness to the vocals. I like the way that it makes the vocals sound and the way that it compresses my vocals.
Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day feeling number, as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard.
And that's doing hardly any compression. Just lightly tapping the peaks, medium attack, and then kind of a fast release.
Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams.
1 dB gain to make up what we've lost. Let's see if I boost the 1176. See what happens.
Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day feeling number, as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard. Feeling trapped like a bird with no cage, scared to fly. Cause I'm still traumatized even though it's been set free. When it's captivity, the enemy was me, and I did that shit willingly. Hurting me brought comfort, lying in my bed, living rent-free in my own head. Sacrificing daydreams to pay bills against my will.
It's okay, so that's making it slightly louder.
Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day feeling number, as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard. Feeling trapped like a bird with no cage, scared to fly. Cause I'm still traumatized even though it's been set free. When it's captivity, the enemy was me, and I did that shit willingly. Hurting me brought comfort, lying in my bed, living rent-free in my own head. Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day feeling number, as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard. Feeling trapped like a bird with no cage, scared to fly. Cause I'm still traumatized even though it's been set free. When it's captivity, the enemy was me, and I did that shit willingly. Hurting me brought comfort.
I think it sounds better on. What I like to do as well, or what you should do as well, is when you're using a plugin, when you try a plugin and you've made some tweaks to it, you've done some processing, hover on the bypass or the power button. Don't look at it, just listen, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, to a point you don't even know if it's on and off or off because you've clicked it so many times, but you're using your ears to like really listen. Is it making a difference? Do I need that? If you don't need it, turn off. I'm gonna leave that on. So that's the plugins that I've used on the channel, and that's sounding cool. I'm just gonna turn this one on, which is my mix bus send, and see if that makes a difference.
Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day feeling number, as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard.
Yeah, it's not a big difference with the mix bus pre-fader on, the P mix, parallel mix. So I'm just gonna leave that on. I just quickly turned off the 1176 and turned it back on, and I noticed that with it on, it feels like it's giving the vocals a bit more saturation, and it's just giving it a nice sound to it. I feel like when it's off, it feels a bit more boxy sounding. So I'm gonna leave that on for now. So just quickly go through the channel plugins. I've used the end console, which is my summing mix, my summing plugins that all lead to the master out and it's linked to the vocals. So the vocals, it's routed to the vocals, over to vocals, and it's got a little bit of saturation on that. Then we've got clarity just to clean up the vocals a bit. Then the gate, which is making the vocals sound a little bit tighter and just shutting off unwanted sounds that we don't want on there. Then I've got a de-esser, lightly tapping the S's, and Pro Q4, removing some frequencies that I didn't like, weren't feeling, bit annoying. Another de-esser, probably didn't need it, you might not need it. And then 2 compressors. So moving on to my main bus. So after I've done that processing, I like to send my vocals to another bus, which will group all the vocals. So if there's doubles, might be some ad-libs, some stabs, I like to group them into that bus so that then I can make them sound like one and add a bit more processing. So there'll be 3 buses. I might use a chorus bus. I might have a separate ad-libs bus for that as well. But whatever the main vocals are, they'll be going to an aux channel, which is my main bus. So I'll have my main bus, my chorus bus, and my ad-libs bus, and they'll be treated different. So it gives it a slight different feel to the whole mix. So it's just not linear. It's not linear sounding, not samey. So these 3 buses, they'll go out to the main vocal bus. It's a little bit more advanced. You don't have to do all of that. You can just go straight from your channel, your main channel, and go straight out to your stereo output. But this is just a little bit more advanced, and which gives me that sound. So I hope it's not confusing. If it is, just drop a comment and I'll do my best to explain it even further. So now we've got a vocal chain on our main channel. Got the N console, which is just on the bus module, and then we've got the SSL channel. And what I like to do with that one is just add a little 5k, boosted that by about 3 dB, and then 200 hertz we're just notching down by about 2 and a bit dB, and also around 7k. I'm going to turn it on and turn it off so you can hear it.
Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all of my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day, feeling number as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard. Feeling trapped like a bird with no cage, scared to fly. Cause I'm still traumatized, even though it's been set free. From this captivity, the enemy was me, and I did that shit willingly. Hurting me brought comfort, lying in my bed, living rent-free in my own head. Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all of my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day, feeling number as I numbered the words that makes.
Yeah, so I like that. What I've done there is just, yeah, like I said, I've just cut 7k by 2 and a bit dB, whatever it was, I can't remember. And when I boosted the 200 hertz, you could hear how boxy it sounded. It sounded a bit bloated, I would say. And the 3k is just giving it that extra lift, bit of a shelf. 3k? No, not 3k. 5k, 3 dB. And then we've got Pro Q4, and I'm just doing just a few cuts, just small cuts, nothing major. Yeah, 200 hertz. Yeah, I'm just using the dynamic EQ on that.
Against the wall, counting sheep, and I make the leap. It was all of my dreams that woke me from my slumber.
Yeah, I didn't like that, so I just removed that by 3 dB. If that, yeah, just under 3 dB. And then up here, there's a few frequencies that are a little bit annoying. I'll just show you one.
As they scratchy there, trying to make the that woke me from my slumber. Through the
So the reason why I'm cutting those frequencies is because when I start to push the vocal, I don't want them frequencies to stand out and jump out and just make it sound horrible. 800 hertz, 880 hertz, I've just dipped slightly.
Trying to make the leap. It was all in my
I'll boost it so you can hear. Oops.
Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all of my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day, feeling number.
Yeah, so that's just cleaning it up, making it sound nice. This is with the mix.
Against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all of my dreams that woke me from my.
Lovely. I didn't use Spectre on this one, but I do like to use it in my mixes if I'm like, if the vocals, it feels it's not cutting through the mix properly as much as I'd like it to. So I'll boost around a dB, 2 dBs at around 5k, and it feels like it lifts the vocal out. Yeah, I'll just use that if the vocals isn't cutting through the mix to where I'd like it to. The next plugin, UAD Pultec EQP1A. I like this, gives it a nice little extra source to the mix, to the vocals, and helps to push the vocals forward. I'm going to play it with it off and then turn it on.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear, soap of regrets. Means it's been days since I slept. I'm peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they.
So I'm just boosting 16k. The band's kind of narrow, so yeah, I could have made it a little bit wider, but for this mix, it worked. I'm attenuating just slightly, so I'm just cutting some of the high end. I've just noticed this here is actually the volume control. Because I'm boosting frequencies, obviously it's going to sound louder. So it's going to trick me into thinking it's better. And I just realised that I can turn it down using this. Every day's a school day. I'm always learning.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soul for regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day feeling number, as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard. Feeling trapped like a bird with no cage, scared to fly. But I'm still traumatized, even though it's been set free.
I nearly done myself there. I couldn't quite work out whether I needed it or not, but I've left it on. And obviously, yeah, I need it. So that's the Pultec EQ, and then we've got a C6. So with the C6 multiband compression, I'm just using that to just control the vocals. You can use any multiband compressor. I just chose the C6 on this one. I sometimes use the Fab Filter multiband compressor. That's Pro MB. That's really good. Yeah, so my favorite two bands to use in this is these two, that one and that one. And I use them two to remove frequencies that are bugging. So the low frequency here, you hear it.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear, soul for regrets.
So that sounds a bit boxy. So I like to remove that one. And then the top end,
Bitterness resides here, mixed with
yeah,
fear.
it's kind of scratchy. So I've boosted it slightly, but I'm also attenuating it. So it's boosting, but it's also ducking if it gets a bit out of control.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear.
So this is without.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soul for regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting
Yeah, that sounds nice. I like the way it's just locking in the vocals and giving it consistency. The note down here is just getting rid of some of that low end, doing it in a nice way. I got the top end is getting taken care of with this node, this band here, and then
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soul for regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day feeling number, as I numbered the...
So the vocals does sound a bit more... Hold on.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soul for regrets.
Yeah, so it might sound a little bit thinner with it on, but I feel like it works with the mix. So again, don't get bogged down into thinking, I have to use all these plugins. You don't have to use all these plugins. You just need to make the vocals sound clean and work with the beat, with the mix. So that works well. I like that.
Bitterness resides...
Let's say it with the rest.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soul for regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day feeling number, as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard. Feeling trapped like a bird with no cage, scared to fly. But I'm still traumatized, even though it's been set free.
Yeah, I like it with... It's thinned the vocal out a little bit, which I'm sure I've took care of later on down here, and I have, you can see. So what I've been using lately on my vocals is Transients Multi. And the reason why I'm using that is so that the vocals feel a bit more spitty, a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? A bit more, I don't know, not aggressive, but you can hear plosives, you can hear T's, you can hear like, it's a rap spoken word type thing. So you want to hear the T's, you want to hear certain nuances, you want to hear that. So I feel like with this Transients brings that out. I was using the Trans Mod before, which is slightly different. Yeah, I was using this a lot more, which is a similar thing, but it's just two bands.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soul for regrets means it's been days since I...
Mate, let's put it on the correct channel first. That would help. So I'll turn off the Transients and then put the Trans Mod on, and I'll just boost so you can hear what's happening.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soul for regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting...
So you see, when he said back, he went back, but that's too aggressive. We don't want that. Just going to use the Transients, turn it on and off so you can hear.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soul for regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make...
So you can hear how it's exaggerated, the transients. It sounds a lot more clear. I feel like it's almost like spiky. And when it's turned off, the vocals sound a bit smooth, like a bit more rounded. And that's not what I wanted for this mix. So there's that plugin. The next one is... Oh, yeah, I like this. I've been using this a lot just lately on vocals, and yeah, it's nice. I'm using a lot of, well, 3 dB of upward compression, and you're going to hear what this upward compression does because it lifts the vocal. It's upward compression, it's not downward compression. So all the quiet parts are getting louder, loud parts getting quieter. It just brings it, just gets it nice and nice sounding. I've limited the vocals slightly just to catch some peaks, so that's around 9 dB, minus 9 dB, and we check out the attenuation over here, which is how much it's reducing it by.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear, soap of regrets. Means it's been days since I slept.
So it's not attenuating that much, it's just catching some peaks, which helps further down the line in the mix when it comes to the stereo output and getting everything sounding cool to a point where I can push it more because the peaks ain't making the stereo output crap out. I want to push the upward limiter so you can hear what it's doing to the vocals.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear, soap of regrets. Means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day, feeling number as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard. Feeling trapped like a bird with no cage, scared to fly. Cause I'm still traumatized, even though it's been set free from its captivity. The enemy.
Yeah, I like that. It's doing a good job. That's all on the main bus, which I can control all the vocals from inside the mix, so there'll probably be like 3 different channels going to that main bus. And then, like I said, these three buses, the main bus, the chorus, and ad-libs get routed to your main one here, and that's controlling the overall, like everything. So I've got a few more plugins on that, and I'll just quickly run through them. Same again, end console, that's just on the bus module. Just give us that little bit of saturation, niceness. So this is probably one of my favorite plugins at the moment, Hi-Fi by Swab Digital. If you get a chance to check that out. So what this is doing, it is making the vocals sound nice and smooth. You can use these sliders to narrow in on a specific frequency that could be bugging you. You feel like it's not sounding nice. So I've found this frequency here that I wanted to push. I'll solo it so you can hear it.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear, soap of regrets. Means it's been days since I slept. I'm peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the...
So that's the frequency I wanted to tame. Once I've tamed that frequency, I can use trim to bring that back, but in a nice, musical, smooth sounding way. I'm not going to go through this plugin and tell you what everything does, but it's similar to a DSR, but nicer, better. If you haven't got that, you can use, what can you use? Probably, no, I can't think of anything, to be honest, because this is one of a kind. It's different. Check it out if you get a chance to. It's a free trial. So that's what I'm using on there. And then I think I'll use balcony left. I'm not sure if I did, but I'll turn it on, turn it off, see if it makes a difference.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear, soap of regrets. Means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day, feeling number as I numbered the words that makes poor self.
Yes, I am using that, and the reason why I'm using that is because I just want to catch some peaks and smooth everything out. So yeah, that's why I've used that. You can, like I said already, you don't have to use this plugin. You can use another compressor, which will do a similar job. Turn it off and let's hear it with the whole mix.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear, soap of regrets. Means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day, feeling number as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard. Feeling trapped like a bird with no cage, scared talk, not want to be heard.
I feel like that needs to be a bit louder there. Just slightly. Just use the fade to make it, when you're making your chops inside Logic Pro, like that for example, because you're going to be jumping back and forth in your mix. You might hear something later on down the line that could have been bumped up a bit, and yeah, like I said, you're going to be jumping back and forth making changes. So you've made your cuts, and in here you can see that cut is not in the middle of the waveform. So I could move the waveform so it's like right in the middle and it's not going to cause a pop or a click. But if you haven't got time to do that, you can just highlight them, press Control, Alt and X, and Logic's going to create some nice little fades for you. So that's a nice little tip, extra tip for you, bonus. Right, so yeah, balcony left on the vocals, sounding sweet. Let's turn that off. And then the next plugin I've got is R-Bass, and I'm using R-Bass just to add a bit more body in the vocals. When I was using the C6, it kind of made the vocal thin, and I don't know if this was a decision I made like later on down the line and added this after, but it's there anyway. And it's just to add a bit more body to the vocals. I turn it off and I'll turn it on so you can hear it.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soap of regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they fall, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day, feeling number as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard. Feeling trapped like a bird with no cage, scared to fly. Cause I'm still traumatized, even though it's been set free. From this captivity, the enemy was me, and I did that shit willingly. Hurting me brought confidence.
So instead of the vocal sounding too bright, too thin, I feel like it rounds it out nicely in a nice way. Again, you don't have to use that in your vocals, but if you feel like you're lacking a bit of body in your vocals and you've already done your processing, you can slap that on there as well. If you don't have that and you don't want to use that, could maybe boost your EQ that you used earlier on in the chain. Let's hear that.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soap of regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day, feeling number as I numbered the words that...
Nah, I prefer the R-Bass. I feel like that sounds a lot better. So I've got another high file in there, and this is... So with high file, they've got a parallel limiter on there. It's got a parallel section that you can add some top end frequency or low mid frequencies and boost that to get your vocal sounding smooth, sounding bright, sounding nice. I'll solo it so you can hear what's happening. So hardly anything. Let's boost it higher. So yeah, that's what that's doing. It's just slight boost. And what I'm attenuating here is it's just like annoyances. And then I'm boosting it again to bring it back. So this is it on and off inside the mix.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soap of regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from...
That's nice, because without it, the vocal feels like it's missing something. And like I said, if you use your plugin and you turn it on, you turn it off without looking, and you feel like something's missing, then keep it. But if you turn it off and it's not doing anything, just get rid of it. Okay, so the last plugin, which is probably the first plugin that I've turned on when I mix, is the UAD Ampex ATR 102. I love this plugin. I love what it does on vocals. I love the saturation it brings, and yeah, I'm using it's a tape emulation. So I've just gone through the different tapes, emulations, and landed on this. I'm gonna play it off and then turn it on so you can hear what's there.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soap of regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my back against the wall, counting sheep as they fell, trying to make the leap. It was all in my dreams that woke me from my slumber. Through the day, feeling number as I numbered the words that makes poor self-talk not want to be heard. Feeling trapped like a bird with no cage, scared to fly. Cause I'm still traumatized, even though it's been set free from this captivity.
So yeah, it's making it a little bit louder, and that's fine, totally fine. But it's also adding, like I said, it's adding the saturation, so it gives it a bit more fizz character, and it's also taming the peaks as well, like a compressor would. So that's nice on the end of the chain. So now let's compare the vocals again, without processing and with processing.
Bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soap of regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like. With my bitterness resides here, mixed with fear. Soap of regrets means it's been days since I slept. And peace, wonder what that feels like.
Sounding smooth, sounding sweet. No effects on it at the moment. There's no reverbs, and I'm going to save that for another video because I don't want this one to be too long. So when you're mixing the vocals, it's all about editing it, cleaning it up, getting rid of pops and clicks, using EQ to subtract annoying frequencies, a bit of saturation to add a bit of grit, compression, and maybe a limiter to tame some peaks, and whatever else you want to use to make your vocals sound excited, bright, and just nice to hear, nice to listen to. I've just showed you how I've mixed this song. You don't have to use this exact vocal chain. You can use less plugins. You can just go from your channel straight to your output. If you're confused by anything I've done in this video, just like I said, drop a comment below and I'll explain it further, or hit me up on Insta and I'll send you a video about what I've done and why I've done it. I want to do another video showing you the effects that I've used for this mix. If you get a chance, get the opportunity, go and check out Anija's Bandcamp and support his music. Appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.